Oh, so you are from the author of God is a Consuming Fire. You're welcome. Today's conversation, we're talking the goddess purpose, and this is a series where I have conversations on faith and spirituality and the role it plays for your vision alignment as a woman. With the goddess purpose, we're speaking about women who are specifically called to be vessels of God's will, women who are called in of themselves that they are daughters of God. This is their birthright. They are healers, they are warriors, they are destroyers, they are here to pass judgment. They are, whenever you think of God's divine feminine, especially the dark feminine essence of God, which is chronicled in the Bible, in people's observation of nature, and in other cultures, really, yeah, you are likely called to that. And how do you know? Because of everything life has dragged you through, all the world systems that spotted your light, that could smell, sense your very purpose and essence, and literally took you through hell just to dissuade you, but which actually just serves as activation for your soul to remember why you are here. Then you are welcome to the goddess purpose. I've had a conversation where I talked about society's acceptable whoring of women's creative processes and emotional labor through the bullying, slut shaming, rape culture, sexual violence, and religious purity culture enforced on women's sexuality as a sexual expression, right? How all of that is a way to groom women so that other parts of our creative process, our emotions, our actual creativity, our ability to draw attention, beauty, can be hoarded out in exchange for literal basic human rights. So yeah, and other things like that. It's a wonderful conversation. That is another conversation I've had, imploring you to center your own emotional, sexual, creative energies for yourself, because that is true creation in today's wisdom and industrialized skill set age. Now let's go into the conversation for today. I started this by saying, oh, you are of the author of God is a Consuming Fire. So there is this thing I noticed within my community and with a couple of my clients. Oftentimes I would come across content that I feel like, oh, this content better expands the conversation I've had with them on a particular point, and I will share it with them, and they would give me feedback on like the insight they got, how this rattled them. And they would always, I began to notice a pattern. They would say something like, oh, I didn't like her tone. Now I find that interesting because these are also women where we've walked through the world telling them that specific phrase had impacted / traumatized them. So to then say the exact same thing, it's very interesting to observe. Now, what do I mean? There are women who create specific content to speak about certain things, and we just, like, the content resonates with us. It gives us insights. It answers questions that we never had answers to. But something about us is so rattled, is so uncomfortable, is so frightened, feels so judged, feels shamed, that the only rational thing we can pick on based on how we are socialized also as women in this world is their tone. We don't like their tone. I don't like the way they swore. I don't like the way that they felt like they were speaking down at me. I don't like how they felt all-knowing. I don't like their stance. I don't think it agrees with my beliefs and my faith. There are all these reasons for the fact that you are choosing to hold on to something that a divine sword of light needs to cut off. Yeah. Now, Now, what does this exactly mean? Going deeper and further into that, there is an aspect of God's feminine. I think I should do a complete breakdown on like the ways with which God's feminine, the divine feminine manifests. More of like taking it from like a Christian / biblical analysis for the Christian girlies. But yeah, I would just say that one of the ways I love with which the way God manifests her feminine is she would leave, and the Spirit of the Lord departed from XYZ. You know what I'm talking about. But there's another aspect of God, because historically, actually, some of the traits that are deemed masculine and that are now split into a binary masculine and feminine were actually just a whole. So we see this aspect where what is misaligned is cut off. What's the tree, the branch that is not bearing fruit is cut off, just like how we see where Jesus comes across a fig tree that is not bearing fruit when he was hungry. Like, that is your job. Do you understand? Your job is to enjoy the sunlight and bear fruits. And the one day somebody is almost dying of hunger, like, you're not even doing your job. Then why are you here? Do you know what I mean? So we see Professor Jesus literally curses the fig tree and it dies. Now, what does this mean? Oftentimes as women, we never ascend. This is not even self-actualization. Like, that is the bare minimum. You should be self-actualized. I'm talking ascending. I'm talking like, yeah, God is always with you. But like, are you with God? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, are you doing what your purpose right now? Even if the world is ending, are you showing up so that that one person at the point of hunger that needs to come across you is fed? So there's an aspect of God who is there to break us under, but it's an aspect of God specifically who's there to, is an unconsuming fire. It destroys what is not aligned, what doesn't stay in, what doesn't fulfill purpose, what doesn't stay, what is not meant to be there. The world fills us and programs us, grooms us with a lot of things that are detrimental, especially for women who are called to a goddess purpose, that are detrimental to you ascending into that purpose, to you living every day in that purpose. A classic one that I got unplugged from was the focus on the end results. The process is the focus. It is within the process. It's within the boring routine rhythms of life, of you showing up every day doing it. That is where the fulfillment is at. It's not just a boost of serotonin and goes. I mean, in fact, even if you look at it as looking at it, girls, should I get into my, into my bag, into my biology bag right now? When you look at even neurotransmitters and you look at hormones, for example, how the body is created, and we look at their connections to like our emotions and certain vitamins we need to eat and how they support certain neurotransmitters and how that relates to whether or not we stay healthy enough and our body fights inflammation so we don't get depressed, we don't get depression or whatnot. You will see that it's all of these systems in the body even allude to the fact that the process is where it's at, the rhythm is where it's at, the destination is the journey. It's not somewhere, it's not some elusive place. That is how people are sold dreams, illusions in this world to keep striving for something external. Your process, because the process is birthed from you already being a destination being that you know your vision. You've spoken it into life. You've written it down. Write down the vision. Run with it. And it shall surely come to pass. Why? Because as you're running with it, what are you doing? You've entered this cycle of creation. You've shifted from ideation to from manifestation to ideation, and you follow that cycle to have this tangible thing, visibly, whatever. That visible thing is literally when God said, okay, I looked at everything I created and it was good, and then I went to rest. And then man was like doing his thing and doing his thing with everything God created, and everybody was doing their thing. The sun, the moon, everybody's doing their thing. When you are filled with information, biases, beliefs, mindsets, habits that have kept you in this state of misery, which is where you were praying to God in the first place, there are women who are called in their own goddess purpose. They are called to be the all-consuming fire of God. They are the dark feminine aspect of God that is there to destroy. It is there to cut off what is misaligned. It is the sword of, like what we call the sword of the spirit, the word of God, right? Where this is not meant to be here, it goes. Which is why when you were going through certain tough times and you pray to God, God will give you certain scriptures to read. Those are the words with which you take with your own creative authority as just a basic human being. Everybody has this ability, but then of course as you who's a child of God, it's even higher. And then you speak this words into your life and these things go. Now, why you don't like those women who are saying certain things, who are calling out certain things, who are speaking on the truth, who are looking at nature, philosophy, whatever, saying it as it is, it's not their tone. It is the programming in you that is misaligned, that is shaken up. It sees the sword of light. It sees the sword of the spirit. It sees the sword of light. It sees the sword of the, and it's like it's shaking, it's crackling. It sees the fire. It knows this is not meant to be here, and it gets shaken up. Two things oftentimes happen. The programming feels so familiar, and we know neuroscience will tell you that what the nervous system perceives as familiar is deemed safe. Simple. Same thing with subconscious mind. What is saturated with and is externally affirmed through the brain's reticular system, rather, confirmation bias, is what both your subconscious mind and your nervous system is going to take as safe. So some women retreat back into the safety of this false illusion of whatever it is, and some other women, it's like that is their answered prayer. They are ready to take a leap of faith, literally, to cut off what needs to be removed, and it is gone. I've had quite literally a divine experience of what I'm talking about, not just with like content, but of experience of, and the scale fell off his eyes, something like what Saul went through. It was about a perception, a false perception, and I remember seeing it as a vision, as like this like a sticky white net that kept trying to hold on to the very tendrils of energy over my eyes. It was already being pulled off, and of course God pulled it off. I remember I was at a vigil during a full moon. I was going to do like my own moon practices for removing the scales. I'd done some prayers and readings, but then at vigil God just came down and she removed it. Do you know what I mean? Again, back to like, so when you are called to the order of God is a consuming fire, I just love that name, so I'm going to stick with that. You are the person who is the truth sayer. Whether you say it sweetly, whether you say it bluntly, whether you say it kindly, whether you say it obnoxiously, you are going to rattle cages either way. So what do? Oftentimes, you might be struggling with the trauma of maybe emotional abandonment or neglect, struggling with having had negative experiences where people have left you, which might be things that may almost come and block your voice. Do not let your voice be blocked. Do not let your voice be blocked. Again, remember the fig tree, right? And other things. So I will say, the onus is on us to share truth. Sometimes people's experiences limit their understanding of what you share, right? And it might take a long ass time for people to really get there. Or it might not take them a long ass time. It doesn't matter. You showing up every day and speaking the truth, how you can, the way you are led to, I assure you, you are doing the Lord's work. I see you. I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for answering the questions that our souls crave to hear. And that brings me back to you, how the feminine rage or female rage, if you want to call it, and also the aspect of the feminine that is selective, because that's another aspect of the feminine that's selective. The dark feminine is there to be selective, to set boundaries, to cut asunder, to disrupt, so that the soft feminine can flourish, grow, nurture, create, ideate, do whatever she wants to do, laddie-daddy, visit the moon, fly to the sun. There needs to be the rocket ship. Do you know what I mean? Like the dark feminine, yeah, she's the one who's like checks the weather, whatever. So you as a woman, you need to embody both of that. You cannot be selective without being able to cut off. You can't be selective without being able to practice metacognition, which I had mentioned earlier in a previous conversation about how it is one of the highest forms of intelligence, where you need the ability to always review your beliefs, your thoughts, ruminate over them, assess them, cut off what needs to be cut off, speak to your body to let go of it through certain somatic practices, and so that you rewire your subconscious, and also your nervous system begins to what is the true safety and security and love becomes actually familiar to your nervous system, so that you are carrying out your vision alignments on autopilot, dearest goddess. All right, thank you for listening.